His Excellency, President of Bolivia, Luis Arce. The floor is yours.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to specifically welcome my dear colleague, President Putin, and I would like to thank him for the invitation to speak at this very important forum. I also would like to express my greetings to the President of Zimbabwe, our moderator, and everyone present in this room tonight. I also would like to extend to you a very warm greeting on behalf of the Bolivian people, and I'm genuinely proud to represent it here. I also would like to thank the organizers from the warm hospitality extended to us, and of course for the invitation to participate in this large international forum in a truly historic city here at the Neva River in Saint Petersbourg. This is where the very first socialist revolution in the world has happened. And years after, this is the city that has been able to hold a victory against fascism. The siege lasted for 3 years, and it was finally successfully stopped, and fascism was defeated. And I believe that today's world order is moving over to a much more balanced and just state that is based on multipolarity. And of course, we are waiting for various discussions around our transition to a new multipolar world order, a new multipolar economy, where undoubtedly we would be able to learn from the experience of the Russian economy. And I'm sure it will have an important role to play in this new world. This exchange is very important for everyone, especially for those countries that are represented here. And many of them have fallen victims to this model, where the economy, the world economy, is divided into the center and the periphery. And this is the situation that led us to a place where we are a country that is producing and exporting only one particular item of goods, and it led us to deindustrialization. The Bolivian economy is now dependent from others. It is a kind of an isolated place. This is the market accepting flows of import from other countries. And we have a lot of miners and people working in the industry, in the extracting industries, and we're exporting this produce to the world markets. The government of Bolivia could not change the situation because neocolonialism was spreading its web around our country, and this is why our government, within the framework of our plurinational state, has carefully listened to desires and dreams of our people. And this is how we started the process of industrialization to ensure national sovereignty and liberalization. This is a focus on industrialization and import substitution. This is a very important item on our agenda starting from the 19th century. And we have to fight and acquire the true economic independence and sovereignty. And in order to achieve this goal, we recognize that there are many challenges that we have to face. And this is why in Bolivia we believe that being a member of the BRICS group is a great bright prospect for our country, so that we could actually focus on the transformation of our country, together with accelerated industrialization. The BRICS economies have been able to break the hegemony of the United States, and they give us all hope for cooperation, for the ability of the countries to complement one another. And as we know, the world of today is a reflection of the capitalism crisis. This is a massive financial crisis. This is climate crisis, energy crisis, food crisis, water resources, macroeconomic situation, world institutions. They are all in crisis. We see it on the example of the international organizations, and one of the specific features of this crisis, and certainly it has many dimensions, but the main feature is that we exist in an environment that is stopping the world from further development. And in order to create a new development model that is different from the mainstream, we in Bolivia created our own economic model. This is a socially oriented production economy. This is a model that is different from what now neoliberalism tried to impose on us. Because in our country we have very important and serious measures for social support and care. We are guided by our fundamental values that are core to the indigenous people of Bolivia. And of course, we focus on manufacturing and production. This is a mechanism to create new riches for our country. And this is the model that has been developed, taking into account all characteristics that are typical to Bolivian economy and Bolivian society. So how does this model function? First and foremost, this model is based on the economic growth and development. It is also taking its foundation in the use of natural resources for the good of Bolivian people. This model makes the best of the natural resources with an objective of advanced industrialization and growing our local domestic production. Since the colonial times, Bolivia was rich with a large amount of natural resources. We could recall Cerro de Potosí, which is a deposit of silver, the largest silver deposit that we had in our country. Also, we have the largest reserves of lithium in our planet, gold deposit, zinc, gas, silver, copper, rare earth metals, and so on and so forth. Those are strategically important sectors of our economy, and they can help us achieve better indicators in development, and they definitely serve the purpose of a fair distribution of all the benefits between the society, taking into account the program that our government is conducting. We particularly focus on those sectors of the economy that contribute to the well-being of our people and create more jobs. And we have in mind not just a more fair distribution of profits and combating inequality that is typical for many countries, but we also are willing to invest into other sectors of our economy. We want to diversify our economy. We want to create more jobs. We want to increase profits and the income of our population. We want to ensure sustainable growth and create a truly broad-based economy. In our case, we are aiming for import substitution. We want to develop tourism. We want to increase the productivity rates in agriculture. always in harmony with Mother Earth. And that is why our model is all about diversification of our economy. We want to build a strong, broad-based economy, and we want to improve the quality of lives of our people. And the end target of this process is certainly elimination of poverty and inequality. Social and economic model, those are actually two models that are complementing one another. We started introducing it in Bolivia starting from 2006, and we made some considerable economic and social progress. The GDP of Bolivia went up from 945 million back in 2006 up to 45 billion, 446 million US dollars last year. The per capita GDP went from 1,370 US dollars up to 3,786 US dollars per capita in 2028. In December last year, we recognized the highest employment in the country. That was about 75% employment rate. We have been able to reduce poverty from 71% in 2005 down to 36% last year. And extreme poverty went down from 38% in 2005 down to 11.9% in 2023. Gini index went down from 0.60 down to 0.43 in 2023, which shows that the economic model has brought us some serious economic success, both in terms of social progress and economic results. And in this context of the global economic meltdown and slowdown of growth rates in many developing economies, the growing inequality and poverty in many countries, well, at this background, our model of economic and social development is an alternative approach to developing countries. This model has demonstrated there is a possibility to encourage sustainable growth that is less impacted by various market fluctuations, unlike those countries who are supportive of free markets. I also should say that the Bolivian model of economic development is pursuing a goal of reducing inequality and poverty thanks to the specific distribution policy and ensuring price stability. What we see in the rest of the world is that inflation rate is setting all-time records. Taking into account the complicated situation at the international arena, we see that transportation and logistic costs are going up, the interest rates are going up internationally, and this is a destabilizing factor for many countries. While the growth rates in Bolivia last year were 3.1%, which is the second best indicator in South America. Again, this is higher than projected by international organizations. So this model and the social and economic outcomes of it are a clear evidence to the fact that there cannot be one single vision of development for the economy and society. And on our planet, various ways of development may coexist. And certainly all of it is entirely up to the sovereign decisions of independent countries. They are to decide on their economic and political structures and setups, and it has to be the major principle and approach for the whole world. We do see that our model is an alternative to neo-colonial policies based on US dollar, and they are trying to make all other economies dependent from it, undermining multilateralism and multipolar world. The economy of Bolivia ensures full engagement of people economically wise and socially wise. We have reduced inequality and we have been able to create more homogeneous society, more fair and more just society. By doing so, we have proven a hypothesis that a country can develop faster if the incomes are distributed more evenly and fair way between all the stakeholders. And in today's multipolar world, we see and we recognize that we need to focus on elimination of inequality. This is true that emerging economies are trying to strengthen their domestic markets, ramp up their revenues, and reduce inequality. But what makes the Bolivian model different is that we have been able to become one of the most dynamically growing economies in Latin America over the last 2 decades. And yet another element of a multipolar world is cooperation and technology transfer between countries. The so far developing countries need support in development of their technological potential, and together with the Russian Federation, we share the concern that today technologies cannot fully serve the interest of humanity. This is what they should be doing. They should serve the humanity instead of catering to the interest of transnational corporations or individual countries. And it is indeed a paradox that developing in the poorest country, development projects in the poorest countries are the most expensive to implement, because the cost of construction and creation of infrastructure is extreme. You need to comply with all nature protection requirements and regulations. And if you look at the developed countries, it is clear that it is important to develop technology transfer also in the area of medical services and healthcare. It became obvious when the world faced COVID-19 pandemic, and we realized that new pandemics may happen in the future.